How does one find her? Her value is above pearls. Her husband entrusts his heart to her, and with her he will have all he needs. She brings him good and not trouble all the days of her life. She seeks out wool and flax. She works joyfully with her hands. She is like a fleet of merchant ships bringing food from a distance. She gets up while it's still night, providing food for her household and even some for her female servants. She surveys a field and acquires it from her own resources. She plants a vineyard. She works energetically. Her arms are powerful. She realizes that her trading is successful. She doesn't put out her lamp at night. She puts her hand to the spindle. Her palms grasp the world, and she reaches out to the needy and stretches her hands to the poor. She doesn't fear for her household when it snows because they're all dressed in warm clothes. She makes bedspreads for herself, fine linen and purple on her clothing. Her husband is known in the city gates where he sits with the elders of the land. She makes garments and sells them. She supplies sashes to traders. Strength and honor on her clothing. She is confident about the future. Her mouth is full of wisdom. Kindly teaching is on her tongue. She is vigilant over all the activities of her household. She doesn't eat the food of laziness. Her children bless her. Her husband praises her. Many women act confidently, but use the passing on. Charm is deceptive and beauty fleeting. The woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Let her share in the results of her work. Let her deeds praise her in the city gates. When I heard that, I thought, wow, that is something to have to live up to. As a woman, as a wife, it's pretty heavy. The sermon text is from James 3:13 through 4:3, and then 7:8a. Are any of you wise and understanding? Show that your actions are good, a humble lifestyle that comes from wisdom. However, if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, then stop weighing and living in the ways that deny the truth. This is not wisdom that comes down from above. Instead, it is from the earth, natural and demonic. Wherever there is jealousy and selfish ambition, there is disorder and everything that is evil. What is the wisdom from above? First, it is pure, then peaceful, gentle, obedient, filled with mercy and good actions, fair and genuine. Those who make peace sow the seeds of justice and their peaceful acts. What is the source of conflict among you? What is the source of your disputes? Don't they come from your cravings that are at war in your own lives? You want for something you don't have, so you commit murder. You are jealous for something you can't get, so you struggle and fight. You don't have because you don't ask. You ask and don't have because you ask with evil intentions to waste it on your own cravings. Therefore, submit to God, resist the devil, and he will run away from you. Come near to God, and he will come near to you. Wash your hands, sinners, purify your hearts, be double-minded. And thus ends the reading.
Thank you, Sandy. So, the thing that came to mind in reading and studying for this was conflict resolution. There's actually some keys in this text that Sandy read for conflict resolution. So that's how I made my slide here. I found that and I put that on. So these are the keys. So that's the title of the message, the key to ending conflict. So, I know this is a yes, but have you ever been in disagreement or argument with another person and you weren't really able to prove who was really right or wrong? You know, and this argument just kind of went on and on and on. This happened to my best friend in college, Ryan. He and I, you know, we would always have lunch together after class. So we're sitting in the cafeteria and we're eating lunch, and a few of us at our table, we started having this discussion about what was your favorite TV show growing up. And so people were throwing out different things, and then someone said, Grizzly Adams. I'm like, yes! I love that show. I remember it would come on syndication on Sunday afternoons, and I'd watch it like every week. I mean, here's this mountain guy who had a pet bear for a friend. What's not to love about that show, right? And I'm like, yeah, do you remember what the theme song to that show was? I'm like, no, I don't. And my friend Ryan is like, you guys don't remember? Come on, it was Country Roads Take Me Home by John Denver. And I'm like, no, that's not it. He's like, oh yeah, it is. I'm sure of it. I'm like, well, I don't think that was right. I think it might have been John Denver that sang that song, the theme song, but that was not country. Oh yeah, so back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Finally, we're like, well, let's ask people at another table. So we get up, and we go to all the tables and ask people, like, hey, did you ever watch Grizzly Adams? Oh yeah, I love Grizzly Adams. What was the theme song? Oh man, I don't know. Now, you gotta realize, this was before the internet. I know I don't seem that old, but yes, I am older than the internet, by quite a bit actually. And the internet was not even a thing, so we couldn't go to that. So what did you do? You had to find people that maybe knew what you were talking about, who could corroborate your side of the argument. So no one at our table could figure it out, and we'd ask other people. We'd even ask like our professors or people we'd run into, hey, did you like Grizzly Adams growing up? Yes, I love that show. What was the theme song? Oh, I don't know. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So like 10 years later, after this, he gives me a call. He's on a road trip. He happened to stop and bought John Denver's greatest hits. He's got it playing in his car on the CD player and talking to me. He's like, see, listen, that's the song. It's Country Roads Take Me Home. I told you. I'm like, no, it is not. I'm like, that is not the song. Now, again, granted, I give you it was probably John Denver. That was not it. He was like, nope, that's it. I won the bet. I'm like, no. So then we kind of have a little back and forth. We still would keep in touch and talk and stuff. It wasn't until probably, another 10 years had passed. And this is when I was still working at Dr. Pepper. And it was kind of in between, like our night shift drivers and myself. And we were talking, and somehow, again, we got talking about shows we loved, and Grizzly Adams came up. I'm like, oh, yeah, I love that show. I was like, yeah, me too. I'm like, who sang that theme song? Oh, man, I don't remember. He said, let me look. So he finds it on YouTube and pulls it up and plays it right there for him. Like, oh yeah, that was it. And it turns out that both Ryan and I were totally wrong. It wasn't John Denver. It was some guy named Tom Pace. Who ever heard of Tom Pace? I think he had one hit. And the song was called Maybe, actually. So it's like, maybe there's a world where we don't have to run. Does this bring back memories to one of you who watched that show? Yeah. So I found that link. I texted it to my friend Ryan and showed him. I said, apparently we were both wrong. So he replied back, well, hopefully after all this we can still be friends. So this was a 20-year argument or whatever that had gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, many people would argue about song lyrics. You have this favorite song and you've been singing it for years, and then someone points out, that's not the words of that song. What? It is too. No, it's this. Well, now we have Google, right? Or whatever we do. Google is the ultimate argument ender because it can figure out all these things. We never used to have that before. And so I've come to find out that I've been singing songs wrong for many, many years. And then when I realized what the actual lyrics are, it's like, oh, it's hard to get back to to doing that. But before the internet, that's what we would argue and fight about. The Google days, right? Now, our arguments are a lot more intense, unfortunately. Wouldn't it be nice if the extent of our arguments were like, what actor played so-and-so on this TV show or certain song lyrics? Now it's, oh no, we argue about masks. We argue about vaccines or government conspiracies or fake news or what's real or this and that. But James, look at James, offers some good advice on conflict resolution. So last week, we talked about taming our tongue. And how it's pretty much impossible to totally tame our tongues. We got to make a conscious effort to watch the words we say, to guard that. Every day we have to make that choice to do that. Make sure we're not spewing out hate speech or those venomous words that as soon as they leave our mouth, it's too late. We can't take them back, and the damage is already done. So we need to guard our tongue. If we do that, first off, then the second step then is to find wisdom. Find wisdom to help end that. So verses 13 and 18, he describes that there's two types of wisdom. So we have heavenly wisdom, and we have demonic wisdom. Now I want to first look at the demonic wisdom and how it describes that, and then looked at the heavenly wisdom as kind of contrasting the view. So, what is this demonic wisdom? Well, it's detected by bitter jealousy, it says, selfish ambition in the heart, or bragging and living in ways that deny the truth. And so it's with this type of wisdom that comes disorder and everything that is evil. I've definitely seen this wisdom at work. I've definitely seen this type of wisdom out there. So here's some examples that I thought of where I've seen this. So, certain, let's say, people or networks that suppress certain stories to kind of push their agenda or their point of view or the outcome they want to see. Now, this happens on both sides. This isn't just specific to one group or network. They all do that. They suppress certain stories. Or, I don't know, maybe they allow hatred to deny certain individuals the right to speak or share, block people, cut them off so they can't share their point of view. Or maybe you've seen justifying policies that are harmful because it actually keeps those people, that group, in power. So they install, policies that are harmful. These are just a few things. And never in my lifetime have I ever seen such polarization of beliefs. There's no middle ground anymore. The middle ground is being pushed and pushed and pushed by this side and that side to where there is no middle ground. There's no, well, I'll just take a stand. I can see the validity of both sides. No, that's being pushed away, and it's being crunched together by you're either here or you're with this group. You're either on our side or that side. An issue. There's no middle ground. I've never heard this. They'll claim science or facts to prove their point. But then, when science and facts disprove their point, oh, well, that wasn't what I was talking about. Or that's something different. Or they deny science when it disproves what they're trying to say. But, oh, no, they're all about science and facts and data. We've seen that happen. Especially if the contradiction denies their hypothesis. I see the same thing, though, with people, preachers, when it comes to the Bible. I've seen the same thing. They all want to preach about the love of Jesus. Jesus is so accepting of everyone. Jesus is all about love and grace. You know what? Jesus offended a lot of people. They can't forget that part. The crowds would come to Jesus and he'd share, and he'd say something really tough, like, well, if you want to continue to follow me, take up your cross. Let's go, I'll be over here. And many of them would take off and leave because they didn't want to listen to it. And only the few that would remain, they'd say, he'd look around and they'd say, we'll follow you wherever you go. See, things like this would happen all the time. The crowds would gather, Jesus would say something, they'd get ticked, and they'd all leave. So it wasn't that Jesus was all about love, accept everyone where they're at, and all that. Yes, he was that, but he also offended a lot of people. See, demonic wisdom basically promotes what is good for me. Whoa, I'm going to talk about, hey, what's good for me? What feeds me, or what can I do for me? Me, that's demonic wisdom. Heavenly wisdom, it says, first is pure, then peaceful, gentle, obedient, filled with mercy and good actions, fair and genuine. And those who make peace sow the seeds of justice by the peaceful acts. So I love how it says, first it's pure. You gotta start there with pure. So it's first pure, then peaceful. So we want to make sure that our wisdom is pure and not full of artificial sweeteners. That's not a bunch of fluff. Not a bunch of all this, oh boy, that sure sounds good. Oh yeah, that's some good stuff. Well, it sounds great, but there's no substance. It's a bunch of Splenda, Kool-Aid, whatever. May look good and taste good, but there's no substance to it. There's no meat to any of those things. When people say those nice, eloquent, calming words, but they actually have no substance, man, that's a bunch of fluff. See, heavenly wisdom that comes from above, it's pure and it has substance. So when I think of pure, I like to use the illustration of water. you've been in like a bigger store that has a water section, I mean, they're big enough they actually have a water section, all the water, and you look at all the different things, man, you go crazy looking at all the labels. You know, triple filter, pure artesian spring, you know, mountain fed spring water, glacial spring water. I mean, there's all these things, and you're like, well, what's that? It's water, right? I mean, really, water is water. But though, when it comes to water, though, you kind of really need to look at what's the source. They can put whatever they want on the label, call it whatever they want, triple filtered or whatever, smart water, mineral water, you know. But what really matters is the source. So if I was to go down to Swansea Park here, take a picture with me, get a pitcher of water out of the shell rock, and pour it through a Brita filter, and give you a glass to drink, would you drink it? I'm guessing none of us would, because there's leeches in there, and fish poop, and who knows what else. No thanks, right? No, I want to know where my water's coming from. We have a well at home. I love that water. It's great. Well water's good. But let's just think of your house here. You know, all the water comes into your house from basically one pipe, right? And then it tees off and goes different places. So if I was to go over to your house and you say, "Oh, Pastor Rob, would you like a glass of water?" Sure. Now, you probably get it from the kitchen faucet, right? Maybe the bathroom faucet. But you're not going to go lift the back of the tank off your toilet, dump the cup in there and hand it to me and give it to me, would you? No. But it all came from the one pipe, right? But it's the source. I don't want to drink toilet water. None of us want to drink toilet water. Amen? And so, you need to know the source. The source of that is important. Same with wisdom. Where's the source of that wisdom coming from? So then if we're able to tame our tongue, watch our tongue and what we say, and use that heavenly wisdom that can help us overcome arguments and conflicts, then listen again to James 4:1-3. So what is the source of conflict among you? What is the source of your disputes? Don't they come from your cravings that are at war in your own lives? You long for something you don't have, so you commit murder. You are jealous for something you can't get, so you struggle and fight. You don't have because you don't ask. You ask and don't have because you ask with evil intentions to waste it on your own cravings. So again, source. Source is important here in this when it comes to conflict too. So what is at the heart of that conflict? What's at the heart of the conflict that we have with others, or people have with us? Is it maybe something that's at war with us? Is there jealousy in our hearts, anger, hatred, whatever it might be? Or is there something with that other person that's causing that? Maybe craving for something that we can't have. So what we need to do first, it says we need to renounce that. Whatever that might be, that hatred, or that anger, that jealousy, we need to actually say that, say what that is, and renounce it. And say, you know what, I'm not having any part of that. I'm not having any part of that jealousy that's between us, or that rage, or whatever it might be. So that's the first key on there, is we renounce it. And the second and the third one is, so resist the devil, and then draw near to God. So those are the three keys. I actually got 6 up there, so I only have 3 keys in my kitchen. So we renounce that, whatever it might be, strife, anger, jealousy, hatred, etc. You just basically say, I renounce that, and you have no part of my life. Instead, I'm going to choose to walk in righteousness and peace. And the reason that we do that is what I talked about a couple weeks ago with the armor of God. We're in a spiritual battle. Whether you want to choose to agree with me or not, we are in a spiritual battle. And so many times, it's not us and them, flesh and blood. No, they're spiritual forces. And so we need to attack it and renounce them. It's a spiritual battle. Renounce it and choose to make peace. Even if it means that I have to change. Maybe I need to change my mind. Or my attitude. Maybe I need to change my attitude. Or even my point of view. Maybe there's something in myself that I need to change and be willing to see and listen to what the other person's saying. Maybe I need to change my point of view. So that's the first one. The second, resist the devil. So what does that mean? Now we're not going to, get in a fist fight with the devil, obviously. But resist means that whatever Satan would try to do to tempt us, maybe goad us into engaging in that rage, that anger, or that jealousy, try to get us to do that. Say, no, I renounce that, I'm not going to give in to that. When you do that so often, then the devil gets tired of messing with it. And he's going to move on to the next person down the line. No longer are you tempted by those things, and Satan's going to move on to someone else. So we resist the devil and we flee, and then we draw near to God. Here's the best part. When we draw near to God, God, it says, draws near to us. If we move towards God, God moves towards us. And we do that in ways when we pray, when we read the Bible, when we seek that heavenly wisdom. These are ways that we can draw near to God, and God will draw near to us. So when we resist the devil, he'll flee from us. When we draw near to God, God will draw near to us. And to put these into practice, to actually use these keys, it requires a choice. I have to choose to actually do that. Instead of taking it and throwing it on the shelf and never touching them, I need to actually put them to use. I need to actually make that choice. Each day, we decide, well, where's our source of wisdom going to come from? Where are we going to get that from? Am I going to engage and maybe promote that conflict, or am I going to change? Am I willing to change? And instead to walk in righteousness, or am I only looking for a personal gain? Do you choose to renounce strife, or maybe become part of the problem instead of the solution? Choice is ours. So will you submit to God, resist the devil, and then draw near to God? The choice is ours. So choose wisely. Let's pray. God, I'm thankful that earlier in James where it says that if any of us lacks wisdom, we will give it to each of us. Lord, help us to seek that heavenly source of wisdom, guidance, and direction. And Lord, help us to see what is really going on in conflicts, in things that we might come up against. Help us to renounce those things, resist the devil, and draw near to you. Help us to put those practices into work, and in doing so that we can be the peacemakers. Lord, fill us with righteousness so that we can go out and make a difference, not only in the lives, our own lives, but in the lives of our families, our communities, and places where we go as well. When we ask all these things, as we say the prayer to us, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.